Sending people to it.
But I'm going to make sure that contact me. I think it's Alex and the other Alex. Since I become secretary, I haven't been in one of the board meetings. Hello, sir.
Okay, so you want to stay up here? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the September 5th, 2017 public meeting of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E. I'm Alexander Padro, the chair. I will ask our secretary to call the roll.
6E01.
Present.
6E02. Present. 6E03. Present. 6E04 is vacant. 6E05.
Present.
6E06.
Present.
6E07.
Present.
Thank you very much. We do have a quorum to conduct official business. I would like to ask the members of the commission to refer to the copy of the agenda. If there are no suggestions for changes, I would welcome a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
And properly moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. This evening, we are hosting the election for the vacancy in the ANC 6E04 seat that was vacated by Commissioner Lily Roberts as a result of her resignation in May of this year. We have Gottlieb Simon, Executive Director of the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions, present, who will officially seal the ballot box. And everyone will be able to see that it is empty, and to make and provide any other instructions that he sees fit.
The election tonight is open to only residents of ANC 6E04 who are registered voters. And as soon as I manage to figure out how to put this down on the table, and with some assistance from Commissioner Concho, we will do the official sealing. We've proven that we have not yet stuck the ballot box. Dramatic tape sounds. Is it 6:35?
It is 6:33.
All right, at 6:35, the polls will be open, and we will have the ballot box at the back of the room on that table over there. And at 7:35, the polls will close. So if there's anybody here from 6E04, please come to the back of the room. We will cross you off the voter list.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. As always, we prioritize presentations from representatives from the Metropolitan Police Department so that they can let us know any challenges or opportunities for greater collaboration with the community, and then get them out back on the street as soon as possible so they can keep keeping us safe. So,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
I'm Officer Boucher on PSA 308, Patrol Service 308, which is this area. The stats for this month compared to last year at this time, we are total crime last year at this time was 45. We are at 27 right now. No homicides, no sexual abuse. We're down in our robberies, excluding guns, from last year at 3 at this time to 1. And we have, last year at this time we had a robbery with gun. This year we don't have one. We have one assault with a dangerous weapon, which will be closed out because we have a picture of the gentleman and we're in the process of getting a warrant for him. There is no assaults with a dangerous weapon, i.e. gun, compared to last year. Total violent crime last year was 5, this year is 2. Burglaries, we have 2. There was a rash of burglaries where people were going around and actually robbing construction workers. And one of the ones that we have was this one, which they went in and actually went and burglarized the house being under construction and went after the actual construction workers. And the other burglary we have is 443 R Street, and that one is if I'm not mistaken, it was the contract workers. Same thing with the contract workers there. So a rash throughout the city, so we're trying to actually pinpoint who these people are. Thefts are still high compared to last year. This year, we have 12. Last year at this time was 18. Most of those thefts are from the Giant and from some of the stores surrounding areas. Most of the ones listed on the Giant are actually closed by arrests. And you have a couple of the other little stores that are the 6th Street Market and the gas station, a couple of things of that nature. There is, however, an increase with bikes being stolen, especially at the convention center and around the metro entrance right there. There's 4 reportable incidences of bikes being stolen, and all of them were locked up at the time. So that's the one thing. Stolen autos, we don't have any. Theft from autos, we still have increasing number. Last year at this time we had 19, we have 11 now. So that's still a big thing. People are still leaving their valuables in the cars. Most of it has to do with the convention center, with people coming in and bringing their belongings and not paying attention to the surrounding areas, and that's where most of it's happening. Stolen autos, that last year we had 2, this year we have 0. Arson, 0 last year and 0 this time. And total property crime at this time last year was 40, we're down to 25. So that's pretty much it right now. Any questions?
Questions on the part of members of the commission?
Question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So lately we've been having a problem, like I live in a Channing Phillip,
Yes, ma'am.
and lately we've been having a problem with the young guys just like being all around the building, we ask them to leave over and over. But when you all come, they walk away, but they just circle the block.
Well, this is the thing with that. If there, unfortunately, there is no lawyer law in the District of Columbia. If there was, it'd be very simple. So as long as they're not blocking passage,
But it is, it's an enforcement.
no, but when they do, believe me, if you just call, I kicked a whole bunch of them out the other day. So, and I made them move, and I made them move completely down the end of the block. When you call and say, just leave your number and say, this is what they're doing, this is where they're at, we'll come and we'll move them along. If they're literally in public space, which is on the sidewalk, unfortunately, we can't do anything there. And myself and the other officers will literally sit there and watch them and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to. If they're literally standing in the sidewalk and everyone can get by them, we can't tell them to go, beat their feet to go somewhere else, because it's like you're allowed to stand there, they're allowed to stand there. But if they're doing something they're not supposed to, either you go inside or you go somewhere else, but you can't stand there. So, but if it's an issue, just call. We'll gladly come out and keep doing as much as we possibly can moving along.
Thank you.
No problem. Yes, ma'am.
We had an armed robbery just a few doors down from our house last week.
What address?
Sorry?
What address?
Our street.
That's the street. That's the construction one. So they changed that from a robbery to it's a burglary because they came into the home and they actually took. Not only did they rob the actual workers, but they went after and took all some of the other stuff. So that's what they changed it over from that.
Has anything happened from that?
That I'm not sure. I know that it's been an issue because they've done that actually not only here, but a couple other spots in the city. So I know there's a bunch of detectives and they're trying to go after them. But I mean, there's a lookout, and we're trying and apprehend them, so.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
We know Lieutenant Neto is retiring in the very near future, next couple of weeks. When we get a chance to meet the new lieutenant?
Steinhillberger is back.
Steinhillberger?
Yes, sir. He was detailed out. He was previously here. He was detailed out for 90 days, and he's now back.
Will he be able to come to this meeting next month?
I will make sure he will come.
Okay, that's that way we get a contact and we get a meeting with your place.
He came when he first got sections?
We have a lot of transitions.
So, yeah, no, so I'll make sure that he's well aware and that
Okay.
it comes out to this. Yes, sir.
I live across from Dunbar, and we had actually a couple, week or two ago, we had someone break into our house.
On New Jersey, where at?
On N Street.
And in one. Okay, that's the 5th district, unfortunately.
Okay.
See, for us, New Jersey is what stops. So unfortunately,
So is someone coming from?
that I don't know, sir. But for,
Well, I guess the question is, like, our alley tends to generate most of, I would say, the crime in our area.
Okay.
And at times there are people who control it,
Mhm.
and then it just like falls on.
What I would suggest you do, simple thing, I believe that's 502. Simple thing, you go on the MPD website, you put in your address, and it will tell you what PSA you have. Simple thing, and it will have the lieutenant that's assigned to that area. Shoot an email saying, hey, this is what we're having, issues with, and Squeaky Wheel gets the turning. So, if you don't see anything change, shoot another one, And I'd also tell your neighbors, same thing, to have that, shoot them a couple emails so that they can patrol and just have a couple units, just a couple times during, especially when the night comes, make sure, just push people along and go from there. And especially if you're having issues in your alley, what I live up the street, spotlights. So when it, especially with the motion ones, when it gets dark, they turn on, and I have a street light, but anytime there's someone that walks by, boom, and I've been out there and it startles them, they don't know what's going on. It's a small little thing, Home Depot, it actually works. People tend to scatter away, not complicated.
You may want to pay attention to 8th Street nowadays.
Which one, 1200, 1300 block?
1300 block of 8th Street.
They
The park
moved.
is empty.
They moved from,
Yeah, they migrated.
because what I do is, you'll see me, I'm actually in that little alley,
Yeah,
so they'll come and sit there,
yeah.
and then as soon as I get on, I do my little rotation and I go sit there and move them on,
Yeah.
and they no longer hang out. They still, if we don't go there, they'll still hang out at the park.
Right.
So, they moved off of 600 to that way.
Yeah.
So we tend to do the same thing, we congregate, and they're sometimes there, sometimes not.
Yeah.
So the simplest thing,
Sporadic.
and that's the thing, if they're standing around, unfortunately can't do much. But if they are blocking, drinking, doing stupid things, what they're not supposed to do.
I just want you to be aware.
Oh, no, we are, because we literally go, okay, they're not here, okay, and we literally do, it's like one spot to another spot to this spot, so.
I recently had the Urban Forestry Administration trim the trees on that block, try to improve the sight lines, because of those issues.
Yeah, because it's very overgrown. The streetlights need to be actually, I believe it's one side doesn't have any, or if they are, they're being obstructed by the trees. That actually would put a little bit of a spotlight, but that's also, the people who live in that block actually want streetlights,
I
coming
had
to
it done
the.
on 5th Street, the trees cut back above the lights, so it makes the streets brighter,
A little, yeah.
much brighter, safer.
Any other
Commissioner
questions?
Wiggins, I'm gonna suggest that, we get together with the lieutenant and, give him a little tour and
We can do that.
familiarize him with some of the issues. And then, I know that the Urban Forestry Administration makes a priority to do tree trimming where public safety is an issue. So,
And I know right now they have, on 5th Street, they have actually the street signs wrapped around the trees for no
Yes.
parking for it actually, if you could do that on 8th Street, that would actually be really, really great, because it actually is,
They
over.
actually have already come to trim the trees about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but
Then I
think
saw the
they-
signs.
I think they only
It's-
did the lower.
Right.
And it's
Right.
still, you still have the trees coming down extremely low, the branches, so. Well, if no one has any other questions, concerns, have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone from 1D or 5D here this evening? Doesn't look like it. So we'll move on with our agenda. We have representatives from DC Water with us this evening. Folks that were in town on the 12th of August will recall that there was a severe thunderstorm that evening, which unfortunately caused sewer backups and other mishaps in the area north of Rhode Island Avenue. There were dozens of phone calls that I received, and I'm sure that Commissioner Brown received some as well. And while we were able to get DPW to make some special efforts to pick up all of the refuse that had been put out as a result of people cleaning out their basements following the overflows. We certainly are eager to hear from our friends at DC Water about the causes for this incident. We haven't had an incident in that area since 2001 like that, so obviously it's not a frequent occurrence. But with all of the construction that is afoot in the neighborhood on behalf of DC Water, hopefully there's some good news in terms of trying to abate this type of occurrence in the future. And I also know that there have been expressions of interest on the part of our constituents about getting backflow preventers and whether or not there is funding available to help to accomplish their installation. So let's proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Quadro. My name is Emmanuel Briggs, and I'm the Manager of Community Outreach in DC Water's Office of External Affairs. I have Mr. Craig Fricke here. He's our Director for the Department of Engineering and Technical Services. And Mr. Ed Shea, he's with our engineering staff support. Craig is going to take us through this very concise presentation. The copies over here on the table. I'll just kind of run through the agenda items. Craig's going to give us some statistics on that rainfall event that happened on August 12th, as well as DC Water's response. Just some background on the Northeast Boundary drainage area and trunk sewer. Some information on our Northeast Boundary Tunnel project, that major ongoing project, Bullet 3. And just some updates on some of our short-term mitigation strategies for homeowners. And then we'll just kind of go into questions as you have them.
Okay, thanks, Manuel. As Manuel said, my name is Craig Fricke. I'm with the Engineering Technical Services at DC Water. On page 3 of your handout, we have there that the rainfall event on the 12th, we measured about 1 inch of rain in about 20 or 30 minutes, which makes that a 2 to 5 year storm, which statistically that means that's the kind of storm you'd expect to see every 2 to 5 years. We had reports of flooding across multiple neighborhoods in the district, and over 20 reports of flooding in ANC 6E and the adjacent blocks. On your next page, we have initiated an engineering evaluation being conducted to look into the cause and possible remedies for this. Investigating the sewer hydraulics performance, both the big trunk sewers that are in this area, there's some big ones, and also the local sewers serving the neighborhoods, and compiling the maintenance history and status for some of these sewers. And we're also reviewing, you mentioned the backwater valve requests. We've had 18 requests from this area for backwater valves, and 6 have been approved to date, 12 are pending. I'll talk a little bit more about that program, a couple more slides. And the next page on 5 is a map of the flooding and requests for backwater valves we've had in this area. As a result, these have all come in since August 12th and continue to come in today. So,
Quick question, is this just both the complaints and inquiries, or is it just complaints too, or, because I don't see, I talked to 2 people, I don't see my address on here, I'm just curious.
What's your address?
1636 Fifth,
1636?
yeah.
I didn't receive a call. I'm Emmanuel. I didn't receive a call. What's your name?
Lee Allen.
Okay, yeah, I haven't spoken to you.
I see 26, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there is a 26, so, and I understand, like, a half a dozen folks within my little block got flooding for the first time ever, so, anyway, thanks.
So just to add a little bit, Jerry Williams, Manuel, first, thank you very much for quick response. I'm not on here either. 1612 Fifth Street.
You're on our list.
Um,
You might be on this map, but you're on our list.
Okay, yeah.
I
No,
remember.
I just with the numbers, and I know there's a couple others.
Hi,
you're on the list.
and my name is Sylvia Williams. I live 1614. I don't see my name on the list, and my basement flooded.
I haven't talked to you. Anyone that's called me, because I'm pretty much the community liaison for the project. If you've called me, you're on the list. So if you haven't talked to me, then you probably aren't on the list. So I'll make sure you have my information before I leave.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
all right, thanks, Manuel. On page 6 shows the major sewer that serves this area. So this is called our Northeast Boundary drainage area. Serves this area in neighborhoods north of New York Avenue. This area is part of the District of Columbia's combined sewer system. And what that means is that there's one pipe in the street that basically serves both sanitary and stormwater sewage. The northeast boundary trunk sewer runs right through there. It's the major sewer serving this northeast boundary drainage area. It was constructed in the late 1800s and ranges in diameter from 3 up to 2,400 feet as you move towards the Anacostia. And in this area, it's
24 feet, not 2,400.
3 to 24 feet, yes. I'm sorry, did I say 24? As you move towards the Anacostia.
Probably a big something.
It's big, but it's not that big. In this area, it's approximately 6 to 10 feet in diameter. On the next page, one of the major projects we have going on right now is basically our tunneling up underneath that sewer. Put a big tunnel in, the northeast boundary tunnel. That's anticipated to mitigate a lot of flooding in the area. Within the northeast branch tributary area. This is a long construction project, $580 million project, and it's under construction now and scheduled to be completed to 2023, and that's being designed to serve basically to provide conveyance for up to a 15-year storm, which is a much bigger storm than these storms we've been having. In the short term, we can talk about some strategies. One that was already mentioned is we do continue to have a backwater valve rebate program, and I'll talk a little bit more about the backwater valves here in a minute. This gives you the web address that gives you all the information you need on that. Basically, you hire a plumber to go out and install the backwater valve, and we will rebate 90 to 100% of that, up to $6,000. It is something that's installed on your property, and I have some diagrams here coming up to stop from backups. Also, as far as surface water or stormwater flooding goes, it's really important to know how the water flows around your property, and if it's could be stormwater or drainage issues, downspouts, things like that. The next page here, I show a diagram of backwater valve. Basically, it goes on the line that runs from your house to the main line in the street, allows flow to go from your house into the street, but prevents flow from coming from the street back up into the house. So it has to be installed. It's important that it's installed correctly. The information on our website, and a plumber can help you figure out the best way to install it. And that's there's a close-up of it on the next page, and basically what happens is as flow goes out, a little flapper goes down. When it backs up from the street, the flapper closes and shuts you off from the main line in the street. And that was all I had. Like I say, we'll be happy to come back in the future. We're just getting started on our investigation in terms of what caused it and what possible remedies there may be other than these short-term measures we have now. Yes?
Is there anything to help remedy mold testing and fixing the repairs of where it flooded? Is there any sort of relief program or anything for that? Basically, my whole living area got flooded. Have to rip out, replace drywall, all of that. And right now, I'm going through trying to figure out mold testing and figure out where I can replace.
So no, there is no relief program for that. We just have a backwater valve program. Again, and to also address Chairperson Padro's question, the program as it's functioning, originally when the program was initiated for Bloomingdale and Ledreau Park, the plan was for DC Water to hold on to it for a few years and then hand it over to DC Department of General Services, whereby then would be more citywide in terms of the scope of the project. That essentially is happening anyway. So one thing didn't happen. It didn't get switched over. It's with us until year 2022 approximately. But what did happen is it still has a citywide scope. So although the packaging of it still says Bloomingdale and Ledreau Park, we get requests and inquiries for the backwater valve throughout the city, and we've been approving them throughout the city. So
I guess the question wasn't just for DC Water, it's also for general services, or however, I'm still trying to figure out how it works with insurance, with city, with that. Because pretty much every house with a finished basement on our block got flooded. I went down and surveyed all of the neighbors. when I called the emergency line after work the next day, this was before you and I talked. And again, thank you very much. You've given me a lot of information, helped speed everything along. But they were saying that there were 2 calls from our street. They came out and they found nothing wrong because they came out at 11:30 at night after the flooding was over, inspected the sewers, everything was okay. They knocked on the doors of the people that called and no one answered because it was 11:30 at night and didn't have the street listed as an issue. So that part, and then, so that was kind of, the map wasn't as much a question about the backflow preventer, because I know it's on that list, but it was also not having reports of the calls that came into the emergency line.
We have a couple different lists, and I apologize if we didn't get them all on the map, but that's one of the things we're doing now is working hard to combine the list and make sure we've got them all.
And the other question was, since we're all going to be doing the backflow preventers, a lot of us, I think, at the same time, do you have a list of approved, recommended?
No, so actually, and I'm going to give you a whole spiel now. So for those of you who haven't spoken to me, that need to speak to me, I will speak to you before I leave. But essentially what will happen is you will need to, well, I'll collect your information, but the process is that you contact me via email on normal circumstances, and you put 3 pieces of information in there. You put your property address, you basically give me a statement that I want to check on the eligibility of my property for the backwater valve rebate program. I know we use backflow preventer, backwater valve interchangeably, but it's actually backwater valve, not backflow preventer. I think it's 2 separate devices. But you would give me a statement that you want to check on the eligibility of your property for the backwater valve rebate program. And then if you have any pictures or photos or cleaning bill, you just want to just write the text in your email. You want to give me any account that you have of backups that you've experienced at your property. I reply to you, as Journey will tell you, right away. And I will copy our engineering team, and I'll let you know that we will check the eligibility of your property, and I will get back to you, and I do. And definitely, I give you the next steps in an email, which tell you everything you need to know. But essentially what you will do is, once you're approved, we have nothing to do with the installation. You then get with the DC licensed plumber, and you discuss with your plumber the installation. I will provide you in the email, if your property is eligible, I will provide you 2 attachments. One is an application waiver form, and one is a plumber's itemized receipt. Of course, the application and waiver, you sign that granting us permission to come in and do the installation. But the itemized receipt, which your plumber will fill that out. It lists every individual work item that goes into that installation. The numbers really need to line up. We essentially want you to be built out of money for work that wasn't done. So the numbers should line up at the bottom of the receipt. Once you contact DCRA as well, and DCRA has to be in the loop on things. You get the installation done, but you have to get a permit from DCRA. And once the installation is done, the DCRA inspector has to come out and inspect the work to make sure it was done to code. Because I can tell you, if it's not installed properly and if it's not maintained, then it will not work properly. So DCRA will come out and just confirm that it was done to code. Once the installation is done, you would then mail your application materials to us. We process it. It takes about 6 weeks for us to get it, process it, cut a check, and get it back to you in the mail.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. So what happens in the event that we have another heavy rain and it floods your basement again? I mean, so then is the residents just supposed to continuously pay to have their this work done in their house, and you guys have no responsibility or accountability for that?
Well, essentially the things that we're responsible for, we're doing on an ongoing basis. Again, the analyses, but also just checking to make sure that the public sewer, there's no obstructions, the storm drains are clean. I mean, again, these are abnormal storms, and I'll tell you personally, since 2012, I've not seen this sort of widespread thing since that summer where these storms were happening. So these are sort of abnormal kinds of events that are going on. But as far as checking everything in the public system, we're basically doing that, which is what we have to do.
So I had a question. So I talked to a few of my neighbors, and I've been there for 11 years and never had any issues like this at all until now. And we noticed that for the last 6 or so months, there was a lot of work going on between 5th Street and 6th Street everything dug up on our street. And we noticed that a few weeks or a week or so after that was all paved over, tarred over, we had the rain and we had for the first time this backup. And so we were curious if there was some issue with whatever drainage work was being done there that caused the problem where we were. I don't know if you know, I'm not an engineer, I don't know if there's any way that.
I'm not sure about that location. I see our general foreman shaking his head, Kevin Gingery, who's in the street checking these things all the time. So I can't really speak to that. I don't know if anyone here can speak to
Well,
your
some we can take a look
location.
at.
Yeah.
I've left a voicemail and had no response from the project manager for that
Yeah, I did
project
too.
also.
Somebody gave me the project manager's information, I called them and I got.
Who's the DC Water Project Manager?
The guy that you referred me to, I don't have it with me.
Okay, well now you got me, so.
It's the project manager.
Yeah. I will make sure all your questions are documented and you get
It
a.
just seems coincidental, that's.
Yeah. Understood.
Just a question, just as you talk about, at the beginning stages of this analysis that you're doing and stuff like that, do you guys have a general timeframe how long this investigation analysis is going to take? Do you have a general sense of when you'll have initial results for like people who are concerned about this happening again, and when people might have initial findings from you guys or anything like that?
I think within a couple of months, we should have some initial findings. Maybe we come back in November or something.
Thank you.
It looks to me like the accessible backwater valve is located on the exterior of the house on the sewer lateral. I'm wondering if you could provide a little clarification about where we as the homeowner can work on that sewer lateral as it pertains to our property versus public space. So for example, as soon as my sewer lateral leaves my house, it's already in public space. I've been trying to replace my line for some time. There seems to be gotten different answers on, what part of the sewer lateral I can work on and what part I can't. It's the city's responsibility.
Sewer expert, Kevin Gingery.
So on your sewer lateral, the property line, if you have a property line, some places are the face of the building, some places are a few feet off the face of the building. It just depends on where your property line is. If your property line is the face of the building, then the backflow preventer would have to be installed inside of your house, in your basement or your lower level. It can't be installed on public space.
I got a question. You mentioned about installation of these valves. Now, some people get the wrong plumbers to install it wrong, not up to your code, means they putting out extra money. Do y'all have a list they can refer to?
Oh, I'm gonna get to that too. No, we don't, because of course that would be endorsing one plumber or company over another, so we're not allowed to endorse any plumbers. The only stipulation is that they're DC licensed. And again, with the DCRA inspector coming out to inspect it, that also is an extra safeguard to make sure it was done properly. I can tell you out of all the installations that we've done, there were just two, but there were two that I remember early on when the inspector did come out, saw it wasn't done to code, and the resident had to get it dug up and reinstalled.
What's the average cost of having this procedure done?
So I would say, so when the program initially kicked off, this program was just $3,000. And a lot of the installations on average were